Hey, you've reached the community conversations again.
Yeah, I mean, the podcast version of it. Obviously, with the vid running rampant all over, not just here, but the United States and the world as a whole.
Yeah.
It's probably a safer bet for us to do this, so that's what we're doing. Today, kind of a recap of what we saw in 2020 and what we're looking forward to in 2021. Obviously, it's a lot better when we have interaction with the public, but you can kind of make comments underneath and let us know what you think. Obviously, the big thing, what do you want to see happen? Obviously, a lot of things kind of were consumed by COVID last year, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But first year on the council, what'd you think?
First year on the council was a pretty tough year in what you want to accomplish to what you were able to accomplish. And that came down to a natural disaster, which is a pandemic, and not being able to pursue or engage in the public as much as we wanted to.
Because honestly, that's our thing. I mean, one of the things that we like to do is be able to have these small little chats and these individual conversations. And that's just, it's easier for us to get a really good pulse of what's going on in the community, what's going on with certain groups, what in certain areas and neighborhoods. And all of a sudden it was like, hey, this is probably not a good idea to be able to do those right now.
Yeah, and there's no better way to find out what the true issues of our community are without talking to individuals. I've said this before. There was a mayor in Alaska that I listened to this big long podcast about, and his best way to communicate and to fix problems was to be open and transparent. Transparency gets used a lot, but he had a Monday morning press conference, 7 a.m. every Monday, invited every single member of the media in and whoever else wanted to come, and he would just take questions. And most of the time, he said he didn't know the answers to those questions. But what was provided were problems that they hadn't been aware of yet, hadn't been brought to a council member, hadn't been brought to, hadn't been brought up in the media, hadn't been brought up in these things. These people were then asking these questions right away, and they were able to fix problems before they became big problems. And I think in the end, we want to do something very similar. We want to be able to talk to the public, continue to have that direct line of communications. And we have that with social media. We have that with our phone, but it's not the same as face-to-face. And it's not the same as being in the neighborhood and being right there at the time that they need us. And COVID prevented a lot of that. Some of the strides we continue to do myself, and I know with you, you can talk about the new system we have in the building and talk about that and what that did for us.
So
what that does for the public.
Just like with everybody else, everything had to go online, and I know everybody got sick of online meetings and Zoom meetings. And one of the things I can tell you about the council, we were extremely ill prepared for this. And most other city governments were.
And we knew it. We campaigned on it.
Yeah, and we knew this coming in, and that's one of the things that we said that, hey, we're going to update this and be able to provide this and go and be able to share this message. And that kind of got put on the front. Like, we had to fix that immediately. So CARES dollars became available very quickly. So what we were able to do in City Hall, if you come into City Hall, right in the back is a camera now that kind of follows the action. So you can see the whole council chamber. All right, that's fantastic. But the best part about it is it's connected to our microphone system. You can hear every word in this room, and you don't have to struggle to hear it. I know that there were been some problems over the radio hearing us. So you can hear us perfectly, you can see what's going on, and then it gives us the ability to tag in people that have to be virtual. So we have some older members and some in that high risk category that, hey, they might be uncomfortable coming in. So they can tag in and you can actually see them side by side with that. And it makes things just so much easier. I know that was a big thing. We wanted to do it just to give people access to our meetings because, hey, you live a busy life. There's a lot of things going on. And hey, maybe I even forgot about the meeting, but I can go back and check it. That was our big point. But now with the push to go digital, we really do encourage people to go to the city council Facebook page, the mayor's Facebook page, because you can watch our meetings live, post questions under there. They do get answered, or they do, hey, there's a question we might not know. We put it away and we'd be able to go to that. And I'm not trying to slam any other body, but I don't see anyone in our region that is doing what we're doing when it comes to that. So the big difference that you saw is we might have had maybe a dozen people come to the meeting, maybe under that. What we're getting now is hundreds of views, close to 1,000 views of these meetings. So the interaction that we're getting has gone through the roof, which is a huge positive. It's something that we wanted to do, and then it just got pushed forward because of COVID.
It was certainly on our list, and one of those things we constantly campaigned on when we were running.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we wanted people to be interactive. This little body of government here in Vincennes only works really well. It works, but it works really well if the public's involved. And how do we do that? We had said, you know, let's broadcast every meeting. You know, and we appreciated kind of some citizens taking it on themselves and doing it for a while. Now this is done in a more formal manner. And it's open, it's transparent. You get to see, you get to ask questions, and it's just a better way to run government. And so if we can look at some of the accomplishments of 2020, you know, providing transparency is huge for us. And I know there's a lot of other ones, and we could go down that list too, but I will tell you, transparency and creating an environment where the public feels like they have an opportunity to view, ask questions, and participate is number one for me. That everything jumps off from there.
Yeah, and I mean, that was what we started talking about that in January of the year that we were running, and that was always something that I've always talked about is you have to be open, you have to be transparent, you have to be willing to listen. And we needed to completely change the whole mindset of that. And that was the goal of this body. People have to be willing and feel comfortable to come talk to us. Yeah. Like, we don't, we're not on a pedestal. Like, we're citizens just like everybody else. And you've got to be able to feel comfortable coming to us and talking to us. And we have to be willing to listen to what you have to say. So some of those big changes, obviously everything being online now and people having easy access to come to that. Another big change, and I know some people weren't really excited about this because it could catch you off guard. We've got public comments at the beginning of every meeting and at the end of every meeting. There's no other body that I know of that has 2 points of public comment because our rationale behind it is, hey, you might have something to say in the beginning and you've got a plan or prepared thing or an issue, but you might be at our meeting and hear something that we say or hear something that goes. You might have questions, and then all of a sudden, hey, there's not a public questioning time, so I need to ask. So we've got those things there. We've invited businesses to come in and discuss with us.
We've invited the chamber.
We've invited the chamber. We've invited KCDC's got a regular seat here. I can tell you, even coming up this week, Chris Pfaff's going to come talk to us again. Any kind of non-for-profit has been welcome here. We've invited the county here. We've had
the Pantheon has come.
Yeah, the Pantheon has come here, and they've got an open invitation here. So what we kind of changed it to is instead of inviting people or people coming to us, what we've told people is like, hey, if you want to come talk, there's going to be a spot for you to come talk. If you want to share a good thing, a bad thing, a question, a concern, there is time for you to come talk to us in the city of Vincennes because those things are vitally important to us. And if Mark and I haven't made it clear, that's one of the most important things to us is being able to hear those concerns, being able to hear those questions, and listening to what other people's opinions are about what we're doing and what we should be doing.
So some of those other things that are, Tim, I know you enacted is you really wanted to see the committee structure come back into the council. Some of those that are going to lead into 2021 from a committee standpoint, I think probably the biggest one there is certainly a merit commission at the fire department. The police, public safety, and it's been on the public safety committee, but that discussion is taking place there. The police department has run under a merit system for years and years and years, and I can't give you I know decades, and has worked quite well and helped them along the way. And Tim, do you want to explain the committee process and what happens with that and how that then comes back to the council, and those committee meetings are open to the public too and advertised to the press as well?
Yeah, and not only that, with what we've done, we record them. We either post them live during the time or record them and post them later so people can be able to watch those. The committee structure is really important. So for the 8 years that I was on council before this term, we had committees, but they never met. So it just seemed kind of pointless to me. So the whole idea of a committee is you have kind of a specific issue or a specific focal point that people need to kind of look at, right? And that needs to be my laser focus. For example, we've got parks and public spaces. So they need to look at everything. How do we improve the parks? How do we make people want to go to our parks? How do we make things cleaner, better, more enjoyable, those kind of things? And how do we spruce up public spaces? That's a great example for that. So that needs to be your laser focus. Budget and finance. Hey, how do we make sure that we're spending every tax dollar responsibly? So you've got these, so individuals can kind of lead and spearhead certain things. And then you can really dive deep on things to improve certain things. Those meetings weren't happening. So we created a bunch of new committees, some that have been the same, some kind of reconstituted. And you've got your atypical ones, like there's budget and finance, where you just make sure that we look that we're still on the same path. And hey, are there some issues that we need to be worried about? Are there some concerns? Parks and public spaces, obviously one of the more important ones because our parks are extremely important to this community. We've got tourism. You know, Brian does a really good job leading that one. Neighborhoods, which is that one yours?
Yeah, we didn't meet last year because
and we kind of got a wrench thrown in everything with COVID.
There's some reasons why we didn't meet in certain.
But don't think that just because some of those didn't meet that there wasn't work in those groups going behind the scenes.
There's also I want to talk about that. You know, not just committees. But our work at on the redevelopment commission, which I sit on, and then the area plan commission, both are important bodies to the city and county, and the county's area plan commission feeds right back into us when it comes to zoning. I think the reporting, I would like to say that we have been very upfront in the reporting, especially from the redevelopment commission to the council. The council is certainly more aware of the work that's going on there. They're more aware of what's going on at the Area Plan Commission, and those things have to dovetail in with everything that we do in the city.
It allows us to make better decisions in the end.
It really does. And I will say that maybe we didn't meet on the neighborhood side of it, but we certainly met more on RDC and Area Plan Commission. There was more reporting back and a better understanding here.
But the thing is too, like, even though some of these committees weren't able to meet because of COVID, and we kind of had to change things and do some things differently, each one of those committee chairs was focused on a specific issue and kind of delved deep into it, because one of the things that I'm excited about this coming year is we're kind of looking at, I don't want to call it an Airbnb ordinance, but we're looking at something like that to improve tourism to the area, because we do believe that come mid-year that we're going to start seeing events again happen in the city, and we're going to start to see events over Indiana happen again, and we're very optimistic about that, especially with, you know, the vaccines here, that's getting dispersed, and, you know, spring and being outside allows, you know, a safer environment. So we're encouraged about that. There's a lot of great things that I think that are going to happen. One of the committees that I was really proud of was our Veterans Committee, and kind of tipping the hat to our veterans group. Did a lot of nice work. Councilman Ravelette leads that one up. We never really had one of those committees, and to me it's really important that we kind of tip the hat to the people in our community that are veterans and make sure that we thank them not just that one day, but you thank them throughout the year for the things that they do.
I'm not on that committee, but I think you'll start to see some exciting stuff from there in the aspect of businesses that don't already offer discounts to veterans. This council is going to be working with the chamber to ensure that does happen.
Yeah.
And just little things along the way there. But the goal there is one, getting our people to shop local.
Yeah, and then, yeah, I know. I mean, you'll hear us here, and obviously we couldn't make it through one thing without, hey, make sure you shop local.
Yeah, it's important.
One of the committees, too, that I was really excited about, and it really kind of plays up on what Mark and I do best, and that's just think outside the box. And it was just, we had a committee that was, projects, plans, anything that was kind of outside the box thinking. And we kind of throw any miscellaneous object in there that allows us to be able to look at it in a different way. And that's me, Mark, and Brian. And that's kind of our wheelhouse, to kind of think outside the box or think differently. Now, you might throw an idea in there and we'll talk about it and we'll think that it's, hey, it works. And then you start to really talk about it publicly and you're like, meh, might not be the best idea in the world. But we need that outlet to be able to think things through, because there's not a bad idea out there. The question is, can you put that idea and actually make it and come to fruition? That's the big question that you've got to ask yourself.
I will say that in 2021, I anticipate, we've kind of hit on 2020, and I'm saying this is just stuff from the council's perspective. The mayor's got his own perspective, and some of the departments of what they were able to accomplish. And we certainly, I don't want to take credit for them. I just want to say thank you to those departments for doing the things that they have done, especially the work at the, at the cemetery and the parks department and the police and fire. Bob Dunham reinstituting the neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
That is just an incredible thing that I'm so happy that it's back. It requires a lot of work at the police department, and Bob's been willing to do that. So shout out to him and being able to do that. The Parks Department, they were faced with COVID, and when I say faced with COVID, that meant people were looking for any outlet they could to be at the park and to be outside or be able to do something, and it ended up at our parks.
I mean, everything basically got funneled into Greg Park this past year, which isn't a bad thing. Greg Park is huge. It's got space, and it's got the ability for us to do those things.
What it did do, I think, it did put a focus on some of the things that maybe needs upgraded, needs fixed, needs some addressed. Greg Park is our central park. It is what we will drive visitors to a lot of times. But there are certain things that we need to do, and we recognize that things need to be done there. Electricity upgrades, band shell maybe, just better trash receptacles, just simple stuff. But we understand that now because of the amount of individuals that really hit our parks this summer and the fall.
Yeah, and I mean, that kind of hits on like things that we hope that we have. Like obviously the band shell is obviously on the top of the list of things that we want to see accomplished. And small improvements, like you say, hey, where we can add trash receptacles and things like that. Even bigger things like I know Councilman McNeece and I want to see a basketball court out there, because there's not a lot of basketball courts in the city anymore that are just out there.
And the ones that we have are in rough shape. We need some improvements on.
Yeah, we need so that's something that we want to see out there. But it was nice that our parks became basically an outlet for the community, because there for a while there was not a lot of school wasn't happening, extracurricular activities weren't happening. So what was the outlet? Well, people went to our parks and they just enjoyed being at our parks. Even when we didn't know a lot going into that. So remember that time during that shutdown, like they said, hey, we don't know if it's good to be on playground equipment at the time. Obviously, the more that we've got to learn about this, the better we've got at handling this and understanding. And obviously cases are going up, but we know how to deal with it instead of beforehand where you really didn't know what you were dealing with. And there was a huge concern of how it would affect specifically the younger individuals. And now we're knowing kind of, we need to worry about that higher end compared to the lower end. So we don't see any issue there moving forward at the parks, that we're going to be able to keep our parks open and enjoy those things and hopefully have more things there. I know the one thing that I'm going to kind of be sad about is food trucks was there, and now they're going to be moving back out to
I'm happy they're back on the Riverwalk. Just the opposite. I'm happy about that. But that's
because it's right where you're at. Where
it's pretty close
beforehand,
to me.
now at Greg Park, it was close to where I was at.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those things that I want to see in 2021, as we're talking about those, is I think you're going to see this council, and we hope that a mayor and the Parks Department are on board. We really want to see the pool open. That is a priority.
Priority number one for us when it comes to the parks.
Yeah, it has to be open this year.
No, it's not has. It will be open this year. Okay. Like, I mean, I'm putting that out there that will be a thing that is open.
And we have a few CARES dollars that I think that could go into helping some extra precautions that need to take place there. Obviously, we end up just approving or not approving CARES dollars. We don't get to choose where they go. We can influence, I think.
Because it's weird now, because now it's like at first you had all these restrictions to it, and now like, and I'll give credit to where credit's due. Mayor and I did meet with like Senator Mesmer a couple times and let him know that, hey, like, we're very thankful that the state's given us X amount of dollars to be able to deal with this thing, but with the restrictions, you can't really use them for everything. So, towards the end of last year, we were able to go in and say, hey, open this up and let them use it for what they need to be able to use it for. So what we did is we got a lump sum that was sent to us, and then we put it in the general fund, which then allows us to use it and cushion areas that need help and had issues during COVID. So, yeah, I mean, we've got some money that was sit there.
We want to see the pool open.
Yeah,
and
we will see the pool. I want to keep reassuring that, because I know that there was a lot of people that were frustrated.
Yeah.
No, probably like you and I were at the top of the list of people that were frustrated. Once again, and you kind of look back, and obviously hindsight's 2020. If we knew now what was going on, I think the pool would have been open. But there was still that time period where you really didn't know what was going on.
I want to be. I hate the I want to be clear thing. I do want to kind of reiterate the why it didn't open up. And I don't think it was because we couldn't meet the guidelines. I think we didn't know if we could to begin with. We waited too long. Mm-hmm. And then when you do that, the sheer labor force to be able to open the pool was no longer there. I think that's a big part of it. Could we have maybe done it? We maybe could have. But when you delay, most of those lifeguards are students. And if we delay too long, they've already found new jobs.
So like when you were kind of waiting during that time period, like we couldn't find lifeguards, even if we wanted to find lifeguards. And then some of the things,
grocery stores and places, retail places like that, were hiring
just exponentially, like Walmart, JC. Like think in our area, Walmart, JC's.
They needed stockers people, at night and everything.
Well, especially like with the new online shopping and stuff. So they were just basically hey, we need more and more people. So by the time that we got we needed lifeguards, or the thought of needing lifeguards, they were done. They weren't there. And some of the restrictions that were in place, like Mark said, we could have done them, but they were just odd. Like, hey, you needed to clean the concrete surface every 30 minutes, and chlorinated water didn't work because that's not considered a cleaning agent, even though now that would have killed any virus or issue that you have. So you sit back and you're like, okay, what does this mean? And then like lifeguards having to wear a mask while they're in the water, okay, that didn't make any sense. That doesn't seem safe. So, and you have to remember too.
Unless you want a water board.
I don't know if that would be a positive. But when you think about it now, we're getting better at dealing with this every day. You learn a little bit more and you get that. And also too, think about this. Every day, there's more people that recover from it and more people that are vaccinated. So kind of inside baseball for everybody. The numbers that I'm looking at now are not new cases every day, or not total cases every day. The numbers that I'm looking at are how many people have been vaccinated in our area and how many people have recovered, because the higher that number gets, the closer you're going to get to what people will consider herd immunity, or that point where this isn't going to be an issue. And I know I don't want to get ahead of my skis and be like, hey, we're going to get back to normalcy like that. You're going to get to a point where it's not a light switch. Yeah, it's not a light switch. It's going to get to a point where you kind of plateau. You plateau for a while. It's not going to go directly down, but then all of a sudden you're just going to see that just tick down and down and down. Before you know it, we're like, hey, everything's close to where it was. And that's where we want to be. So I think one of the biggest priorities in 2021, and I know it's January, is opening Rainbow Beach and making sure that that's available for our citizens, because let's be honest,
we have to prepare for those things.
Yeah,
I hate management and government by crisis. You have to prepare. Things have to be done. In what you do in December sets how good things can be done in March. What's done in March is good for the fall. I mean, you have to prepare for those things.
No, I even had a discussion this week with the mayor, like, hey, I know it's January, but whatever we need for training and whatnot to make sure that the pool's running, just let Steve know, and we'll appropriate whatever funds we need to be able to make sure the pool runs. Because to me, that has to, like, when it gets warm and when it gets hot, boom, that thing needs to be open. And it will be. And it will be. So it's just a matter of making sure that we have the proper training, because there's a lot of unique things to that pool. Because, I mean, it's a nice aquatic center. I mean, it's a small aquatic center. It's not just a pool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that offer to that.
And it's well used. That's the thing. And losing a full year on it is hard. I mean, we've invested as a city a lot of money in it. We want to see that money come back in.
Well, it's not just
we want
that.
to see the use of it.
It's not just that. Remember, this was a referendum to have a new pool that won by over 85%. So this is something that the community as a whole wants. So to make sure that that thing is open and running, it's at the top of our list of things that we're going to be able to do. And I know that's one of the big questions that people are going to have.
Absolutely.
And it kind of then ties into, well, what about all the events that we're used to having? Like, hey, the key thing that I want to say here is we are willing to do absolutely anything to have some sense of normalcy when it comes to events, specifically city events. I'm not going to talk about events that other people do, but think about the stuff that we do. And I think a great example of this was the reverse Christmas parade. So it wasn't a good idea at the time to have a Christmas parade because we were in the red. As a county,
it would have been a terrible idea.
Cases in the state had just skyrocketed.
It would have been a terrible idea.
So what did we have to do? Well, we had to think outside the box. So what did we do? You set up the stuff in the park, and to say that it was a success would be an understatement.
No, it was a great success. The mayor, yourself, the Cheryl and Paula and Steve and all the workers that put that thing together, it was a great success, and it provided some people at least a glimpse of something better.
Yeah, and I know that was one of the things I was hitting on in July, because I know I sent a text to you and Brian, Mike, this is what we have to do for 4th of July. I know it'll work, we can do it, but we didn't end up doing it in July. And once again, that was early on when everything was kind of going on. But I think you're going to see things like that happen, that we're going to start to have these events. One of the nice things that you've seen is like high school sports has continued throughout this time, and you just adapted to that. Football, you could have extra fans. Basketball right now, since it's inside, you really can't because, it's an environment that's more conducive to spread. Now, once we get to the spring, that'll be coming up and you have more outdoor sports, it'll change again. You could probably have some more people because you could spread out and be outside. So when you think about city events, most of our city events are outside. So that makes me feel completely comfortable that we're going to be able to do and offer those things. And I think what you'll start to see, and I know my father-in-law is really pushing, I think probably with the biggest event that we'll see kind of kick off, I think the Rendezvous will be probably like one of the first big, not saying that that'll be the first thing that happens, but I think the Rendezvous will probably be the first big thing that you see in the community. If I was betting.
I would say that it would be too. It's outdoor. We will have hopefully been a long way into vaccinations.
Yeah, so like if we're in the first week of January right now, I think the numbers that Good Sam have released is over 2,000 some people have been vaccinated already. So we're just starting. I mean, obviously the Indiana vaccination plan starts tomorrow. And if I'm posting this on Friday, that's today.
Yeah.
So then it'll start and it goes 80-year-olds first, and then the next week it'll open to 70 up, and then 60.
And I know that you're posting this tomorrow, so there will be a live website for people to be able to sign up.
Yeah, and on the Salters for City page, I shared it on yours too. I put the link that's got the website that gives the information of who's eligible right now, and then current eligibility, and then when changes happen, you just go to that link and it'll tell you who's eligible at that point, because it's changing right now. So that 1A, where it was your healthcare workers were the main one, and then now we're trickling into your first responders like police and fire, and those. Now we're getting in that 1B, and then nursing facilities. That was there. But that wasn't really done by the hospital. That was done by CVS.
Third parties.
Yeah, third parties that dealt with that because it was easier for them to be able to do that instead of taking a strain from the hospital and having them do it instead of focus on getting those done. So what you're starting to see is just the vaccine plan roll out. So you'll see 80 first, 70, 60. I think then you'll start to see people at kind of different eligibility groups that are younger, that have maybe some pre-existing conditions, and then it's going to be opened up to the public for a whole. So who would have thought that we'd be even talking about this right now?
So let's also talk about, I want you to, as I'm sitting here, I'm going to let you do this. This first quarter, I will quickly talk about first quarter in economics coming from, I know you're an economics teacher, government economics, whatever. Anyway.
The good stuff.
The good stuff. I was at the chamber for 15 years, dealing, interacting, being a part of businesses big and small, knowing that the first quarter is the most difficult quarter for retail, restaurants, any type of business. This is when it slows down. Knowing that they just come off of a year that just hammered them. The city council, thanks to Dan Ravelette, really working his butt off, along with the Knox County Chamber of Commerce, got together and created a program, and I'm going to let you talk about that program just a little bit. And I know it's Dan's baby, but we were all involved in finding the businesses and doing those things along the way. So talk about the importance. And what I would talk about is that, first quarter 2021, this is when we said shop locally. This is when you have to shop locally.
And here's the thing, we're putting our money where our mouth's at. Like, we keep saying that. So we kind of got a gift card promotion, and each one of us on the council, so there's 7 of us, got to pick 10 different businesses. And is it a $50 gift card that I'm correct? So there's a $50 gift card that was bought for that business that the chamber then is going to have a social media thing where people either share or comment, and we're going to give those away. And the idea behind it is so a family my size, like a $50 gift certificate to say La Fiesta or to some other restaurant, we're going to spend more money there. But the idea behind it is, hey, it's going to be easier for us to go there if we do that. You're going to spend a little bit more money. And the idea simply is to entice people to go to these businesses, spend that money that was given there, or maybe even spend a little bit more to kind of, grease the wheels a little bit. So what you'll see is over a 6 weeks period, because you and I are considered the same since we're at large. There's 2 at large members.
Yeah, that's right.
So what you'll have is a councilman will do a video. They'll do their promotion of the 10 businesses. They'll say, hey, I'm Councilman Tim Salters. Here are the 10 businesses that we're talking about this week. Here's what you need to follow to be able to get, to get entered into this contest. And then you'll go from there. So, I think we picked every business in town, basically. I think.
I don't know. I left some. I had to cut mine back a little bit.
I know. We got a lot of great businesses in there, and we're very excited about it. We tried to pick as many as we could because
I'm trying to.
Let's look at the list, because I
know
know
look at the list.
So if you go through there's over 70 businesses, different businesses that were picked.
Tim Salters' list, and that's we're the only 2 here, so it's only 2 important right now, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we let everybody pick first because everybody wanted to try to pick businesses in their district.
Yeah.
So then we kind of sat back, and then at the end we're like, well, we're just picking businesses all over the community.
Yeah. So Tim, you picked Gracie's, the Faith Store, Fort Knox Project, Fort Sackville Project, La Fiesta, Dragon 2000. Fossmeyer's, Dawes Force, Pub and Grub, Shirt Print Avenue, and Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, nobody picked that one. I was like...
Nobody picked Hobby Lobby except you. I took mine that we'll be supporting are Piper Diamond, Studio A Salon, Bartholomew Photography, Parlor Hair Salon, another hair salon, the Vincent Sun Commercial. I can't imagine why I chose that business.
It's just a weird one, right?
Yeah, Dynamite.
That's a fan favorite of yours.
Yeah, Good Samaritan Hospital Gift Shop.
Yeah, there you go.
People like the Good Samaritan Hospital Gift Shop. I think that all that money goes back into the pot there, basically. So that's a pretty cool charitable organization that you can shop at. Percolon, and then Halter's Greenhouse. You'll have to wait until the spring.
You have to wait in the spring to do that one.
But there are restaurants. I mean, the Asian market, Bobe's Barbecue, Monocle's.
It's food, it's merchandise, it's fashion, it's hair. You name it. There's stuff on there that all of us were, really excited about. It's a great little thing because the whole concept is...
Brian Grove just picked all the places he eats at.
Yeah, because he was like the first one to have one in, and they were all like just I'm like, there's a theme
Old
here.
Time Diner, Procopios, Perfections, Jenna's Bakehouse. Although he picked the brewery, and I don't think he has beer.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great little promotion. The key thing is we tell people to buy local. So what we're going to do is we're going to help encourage that by doing this gift card promotion. So kind of pay attention to that. That starts after Valentine's Day, right? Or like right before.
Yes.
Because they're doing a promotion right now. And the great thing, I think Jamie's doing a great job, is they've got these promotional pieces that they do, or promotional campaigns. That the key thing is driving interest to your local businesses. Mm-hmm. So when you look at us, I don't think we've really lost maybe one or two businesses. RIP Family Video. I don't think that's a COVID thing. I think that's more of a direction, the way that video is going at this point.
They were holding on by the skin of
When's the last time you've gone to a video store?
It's been a long time.
I mean, in high school, man, that was the place to be.
Yeah.
And you'd always look and like, oh man, it's not there in the box. Or you'd be calling in like, hey, is this movie in? Yeah. It's in now. You better get here fast.
They're going out of business sale. They're selling all their DVDs, games.
I don't even have a DVD player anymore. Do you?
Oh yeah, we do. DVD player, games, all their fixtures are for sale.
What?
Yeah, they're selling everything. So I'm sure there's a sign out front that says for lease. You could lease that building if you're a potential business that is looking for a place to be in.
And here's the thing too, that it has me very positive on Vincennes, where you hear like horror stories from cities and counties where they're just losing businesses hand over foot. Like we're not in that position, and we're also hearing great news of new businesses expanding. A great example of that, just drive out by Kimmel Point right now. Mm-hmm. They started the process for, is it Lone Star or
I forget.
It's a steakhouse. Yeah. It's a very popular steakhouse. They started doing that, and it's one of the first, as Councilman Ravelette, he gets the inside scoop on his district. He always has great information. That it's one of the first kind of an expanded layout where they've got additional dining area where you can space out, but also
have additional outdoor space,
but then additional pickup space. So one of the great, I guess, people evolve. Lone Star. We had. I said like
it's one of the L's.
But if you go out there, you'll see that businesses come, and then we're going to have a couple of announcements of businesses that we can't really talk about right now that will be coming to the city of Vincennes. So we're really excited about that.
I will tell you, there's going to be maybe more restaurant options,
which everybody loves.
Everybody loves that. That's just a teaser.
There's a tease to get you to focus on, but we're really excited about that. And I think,
I will say this: I would caution against after years at the chamber. I would caution against anybody knowing something is going to happen until there is a shovel in the ground.
Yeah. Because weren't you concerned until, like, I wanted the steakhouse to be here, but until I saw them digging it up, I'm like, oh, whoo, it's here. It's coming.
I sat through 2008 at the chamber when Home Depot had bought lease agreements out on where Kohl's is now. And they, I don't know if everybody knows that.
They do now.
They do now. But they had bought land options there, and then the 2008 bubble hit, and we no longer had a Home Depot, which led to the Lowe's coming in. But we were having...
But then it completely changed kind of the makeup. Instead of going out on Beer House, the expansion you saw, it revolved back to the Kimmel Point area.
It changed a lot of things. And... So, and we were, I mean, when people buy land options on things, it's a good 75-20 that they're coming, and 75-25, and we were in the 25 this time and lost that one in 2008. So I have a pretty big caution against that stuff. But so yes, there's the possibility. I would list that as a high probability, but you never know until...
I know that we're excited. I mean, there's usually not a day that goes by that we're not texting each other about things that are happening in the community that we're excited about.
Yeah, so. Hey, Tim, when do you want to wrap this up? We're heading into an hour.
I know, it's pretty nuts. So the key thing that I want to hit, 2021, I want to get back to doing community conversations instead of doing...
I don't mind the podcasting.
This isn't bad, and I think it's worked really well for us because it's a different platform. And what we'll probably do is once we're able to, people are comfortable coming to group settings, we'll turn the community conversation into this podcast. And it'll be that simple.
Can we talk chickens?
Yeah. Here's the one thing that This is his.
I'm ready to talk chicken.
Honestly, let's just kind of roll this back. This is Councilman McNeece's origin story when it comes to him.
I don't think it's an origin story.
Yes, I've never seen him so mad in the.
I don't get mad a lot.
He's in. This is pre-council. This would have been what, 3 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago at this point, and I'm sitting up there. We had a debate over allowing backyard or yard chickens. Yeah. I don't know, however they was worded, and it was not even voted down. It wasn't even second for discussion.
So you had people...
I brought it up. We had an issue in town. I had an ordinance crafted.
We still have an issue in town.
I made a motion for I made a motion for it to be read so we could discuss, and it wasn't even discussed. And at that point, citizen Mark McNeece was in the back, just red faced.
And I don't get that way very often.
And then it was at that point he looked in the mirror and said, "I have to run for city council," and there you go.
I think my words were, "You do not want me motivated."
This is once Marvel gets the rights to this, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. No, in all seriousness, moving forward, I think that we certainly have people that raise and operate their own chickens and eggs and all this in the city limits. We need to have some formal rules in place that would allow people to do this, but in a respectful manner. Right now, it's basically don't ask, don't tell. I mean, that's what it is. And then if
that was a bad policy to begin with.
It was horrible. It was terrible. And then now it is, you get in trouble if you're only reported. So somebody can just have random.
Sometimes
somebody can have a random beef with you and report it, even though it should be legal and it should be done in a proper way.
I mean, bigger communities that have
it's
more
doable,
of an urban.
We'll do it. I don't know if I know I'll push for it whether we have the votes to do it.
I was the one that put the first.
Well, there's 2 votes.
I was the one that put the first ordinance together.
We can't gather votes before a thing, but I don't know. It's just crazy. So 2021, the year of the chicken.
Because that was the one that I got in trouble for.
No, yeah. It's not the year of the chicken. It's the year of
chicken. Why did the chicken cross the road joke that I made? I go, it didn't. It's illegal.
It's
illegal.
And
nobody laughed up there. They just kind of looked at me like, get this kid out of here. I guess I'm still the kid on the council, aren't I? I'm still the young buck.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Wow. Sorry.
I know. I mean, it's nuts. So the key thing is you're going to see things like that. You're going to see the Airbnb push. You're going to see us push to encourage events and help make those things happen here in the city, whether they happen like we're used to happening them, or we're going to kind of change it up and do it in a different way because of, I wouldn't say restrictions, but recommendations to make sure that those things are safe. You're going to see us push for more openness, and honestly, one of the things you're going to see is we've got like an interlocal community cooperations committee. I'm completely collapsing that committee, and that committee is going to basically be a committee of one. So instead of a group, it's going to be me, and I've got a time set up to meet with our commissioners once a month and a time to meet up with our county council counterparts, because one of the big things that we learned during COVID is you need to have an open lane of communication. Why has Knox County done so well? Because we've been able to communicate, talk with each other, and we have an open dialogue. Yep. I mean, that's what do it. So we're going to strengthen those ties. I'll be meeting with Commissioner Brink. Obviously, I have a good relationship with him. I served on council here with him. We'll start meeting with our county council counterparts. If it's an issue that hits one of those committees, I'll bring that councilman in to help with that. But you're going to see more communications with us and our county counterparts, because to me, that's vitally important. It's not one of these things where, hey, we can't look at you guys, you can't look at us. Like, we both got to succeed together here. Like, it's just got to happen. Like, so whatever you think on that aspect, we've got to move forward with that.
Absolutely. That's it. That's all I got, man.
Yeah, I'm good and I'm excited. We start the year off next Monday, the 11th.
Know that we both have Facebook pages you can reach us at. You can actually reach us on our cell phones a lot of times too.
Yeah.
We are open, and if you have questions, you feel like you need to ask,
Yeah, go to those pages, or you can call us, you can text us, you can email us. My number is 812-890-0094.
Mine is 812-890-1442.
And if you want to call, if that's more preferable for you, call and leave a message. If you want to text us and leave a message. The one thing that I would ask, just let me know your name. I do get a lot of texts throughout the day, so sometimes I don't have that information or address or
it may not be in my
identifying.
phone.
Yeah, so I need to be able to know who I'm talking with so I can get the proper information to them. But other than that, I'm excited about this year.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's a lot of good things on the horizon. After dealing with a lot of stuff that we dealt with last year, hope is making a comeback.
Let's hope so, man.
All right, we'll see you in February.